Gonna try the little fox eye thing that everyone's been doing, which is kind of fitting because I'm talking about Beastars. Hey, we're back. I know we look a little greasy. I feel like I look a little greasy, but I have dry skin. So, this marks the start of a new era on this channel. I mean, nobody really does. I mean, people still do reviews, but the thing about reviews is like people have to trust you and your opinions and whatever, and you gotta be like the first one to have it up and all this other crap. I'm still gonna kind of do reviews like when I get new products, like a new little kind of thing that I want to start doing. I want to be able to do makeup and also talk about not makeup, because I feel like it's like you get pigeonholed and other things that like you enjoy that you don't necessarily get to talk about. Like how many life updates really while you do your makeup really can you do? Especially considering right now none of us should have many life updates because we are stuck indoors. Because we're stuck indoors, I have been watching a lot of TV. Not like on the TV because I watch Hulu and I'm going to be back on Netflix soon. So I'm going to be catching up on Netflix. So I'm going to have a lot of thoughts on the things that have been on Netflix lately as well. I've been catching up on anime that I have been missing. If you don't know, I'm a little too into anime. I like anime a lot. So I'm going to talk about anime while I do my makeup now because I have nothing. I mean, it's all I've been doing really has been catching up on anime and watching True Blood. It's been a moment. Not a moment, an experience. And the anime I'm going to talk about today is Beastars. Some of you may have been exposed to Beastars from a clip that was going around on Twitter a couple of months ago. Definitely like furry agenda. I decided to actually watch the show partially because one of my sisters was watching it. I'm like, you know what, she watched it, I'm gonna watch it too. We suffered together, but really wasn't much suffering because it's actually a pretty good show. And I'm going to talk about it with you guys. So I want to start by introducing like the main characters. I mean, I can't just go right into the plot and then you know who I'm talking about unless I introduce these characters. So we have Lewis. He is a deer, so he's an herbivore. And he is the star actor in the acting club. He is from a pretty affluent family. However, he was adopted. So his family is not really his family. He was adopted from a meat farm. He was born and raised to be basically cattle. Another thing about Lewis, he wants to be the Beastar. The Beastar is not really clear in the show what the Beastar is, but from what I'm gathering, the Beastar is basically an animal who exemplifies like upstanding character, ? They're very much about somebody who can basically use as an example, like, oh, everyone should strive to be like this person. The Beastar gets a lot of power. I'm not sure how they get that power. I don't know if there's like a council. I don't know how it necessarily works, but the Beastar is important. Okay, Lewis wants to be the Beastar. Our other main character is Legacy. He is a gray wolf. He's very kind of quiet and shy. He's also in the drama club. And he's stage crew. So he's kind of, behind the scenes, which really suits his personality. People make fun of him a lot for being very unlike a wolf. He's not very, assertive. He's very kind of, tries not to make any waves. Because a lot of times when you're a large predator, people kind of are very wary of you. So he tries to be overly nice so he can be seen as friendly. And then the third main character is Haru, and she is a white dwarf rabbit. Her and Lewis are kind of involved, but she has a reputation for being a little involved with anybody and everybody. Herbivores wise, obviously since I named 2 males and a female, it is quite obvious that it's like a love triangle thing going on here. So the show starts with the students mourning the loss of another student. Another student who's in the drama club was killed by who they presume, or who actually it is another student. He gets eaten. And so the students are really in shock. I mean, as any student would be when there is a death on their campus, especially a murder. Again, like adding the whole animal aspect to it, especially when tensions are already a bit high between herbivores and carnivores. And there's a little bit of a scene, like a little, I don't want to say like a scene, but a little mini plot that basically kind of shows us Legosi's character. A lot of the carnivores tend to have really big personalities, like in the show. He's a quiet guy. He keeps to himself for the most part. So people get the wrong idea about him. So there's a girl who he's kind of like following around campus, and she's like basically like, oh my god, like he's gonna eat me, yada yada yada. And she freaks out because he corners her at night. Granted, like he didn't handle the situation well. Basically, it's because the boy who passed away, he and Legosi were friends, or friendly friends, whatever. And he knew that the boy wanted to confess his feelings to that girl. And he had a letter, and he just never gave it to her. So Legosi was like, like he was gonna let the girl know and give her the letter. While first watching that scene, it seems very unimportant, but it sets the tone so you know what kind of creature, it lets you know Legosi's character. And that's like the purpose of that whole little thing there. Like I said, this student was a member of the drama club, and so he had a role in the upcoming production, and that role has to be filled. Lewis picks one student to, do the role. Lewis picks the guy, and he's like, I'm gonna work with you after school hours, which is against the rules, obviously, being out on campus past curfew, like they're high school kids. Of course they have a curfew. So Lewis calls Legosi, and he's like, Legosi, I want you to keep watch while me and this guy work on his new role. And Legosi's like, yeah, sure, okay. And while keeping watch, Legosi smells this smell, a very smelly smell that smells smelly, and it like triggers his carnal, it triggers his instincts basically, and his like bloodlust is activated, and he goes after this smell. It is a small creature. He is so blinded by his bloodlust that he doesn't even know what it is. He just knows it's a small creature, and I hold its life in my hands. And he's seriously considering killing this creature. He doesn't, because he gets called away because Lewis has fallen and hurt himself. Lewis has fallen and hurt himself, and they need help carrying him back to the dorms. He fell off the stage and messed up his ankle. He fell off the stage and broke his ankle. We don't know it's broken yet, but it's broken. So they take Lewis, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna be fine. Like, I'm Lewis. I'm gonna be fine. But also not like that. More so, I have a duty. Basically, Lewis is like, the show must go on. We're still gonna have rehearsals. The show's in a couple days. Like, come on, let's keep it pushing. And he's just like, I'm fine. The reason why Lewis is so, I guess, worked up about this is because the drama club is the only club that has both carnivores and herbivores. So it's basically kind of that club that shows, oh, carnivores and herbivores, they can get along. Okay, so you guys are about to see some stuff out of order because I left out something very important. And so I gotta say that and then bring it back. He helps Lewis back to his room, and the next day the other guys in the stage crew were like, we're thinking about getting some roses for the set for the production. And they go to the gardening club, which isn't even really a club because there's only one member. The member that Legosi goes with ditches him there, and he sees the girl and her arm is bandaged. Legosi scratched the person he attacked the night before. So Legosi realizes, oh, I hurt her. Girl's basically like, oh, like, if you guys want to use my roses, then do you mind helping me around the garden, like doing heavy lifting? He helps her out, and she's like, oh, thanks so much. Like, what, what can I do? Like, I don't know how I'm going to repay you. And he's like, and he's sitting there thinking, and she's like, oh, he's like all the other guys. And she starts to get undressed, and he's like, whoa. Because the thing is, Legosi was just like, in his mind, he was just like, the only thing I really want in exchange is just kind of sit here and talk with you, pick your brain. Like, I enjoy talking to you. But he was like, that would probably sound really weird because I'm a carnivore, and like, what? Like, what's going on? So she's embarrassed because she's like, oh my God, I just like disrobed. And then he's embarrassed because he was like, what's going on? They start having, you know, interactions. They see each other around campus now that they've actually met each other. And Legosi's kind of torn between like feeling guilty for attacking her, but also kind of liking her because he's like, yeah, like I like talking to her. She's cool. So they make it to the performance. After the performance, Lewis collapses. He gets taken to the infirmary. He has a whole bunch of stress fractures. Basically, he can't leave. They have another performance the next day. So since Lewis is out of commission, they have to find someone to fill his role. They pick another guy for his role. Awesome. But now they have to replace that guy's role, so they pick Legosi. The guy who's replacing Lewis's role, he gets super nervous and he decides to take a shot of blood. Specifically herbivore blood. Because the thing is, even though I said Lewis was raised to be cattle, it's frowned upon to eat other animals. They actually all eat meal replacements. Like they eat eggs, soybeans, other kinds of beans. That's what they eat. That's how they get their protein. It's illegal to murder and eat an herbivore. This guy is essentially doping. Gives himself some extra energy, some extra confidence. Legosi sees this and decides to confront him on the stage, basically going against the script. So the other thing is that guy, even though he had doped himself up, he was giving a very bad performance. Like people really weren't into it as much as they were the day before. They're like, this isn't Lewis, because Lewis doesn't act like this. Like, who is this? This is really not that good. And then so Legosi is, number one, he's angry. He's finding himself having this crush on this girl, this herbivore. And now here's this guy basically drinking herbivore blood illegally. So Legosi's pissed. So he deviates from the script and pops on screen. Not on screen, on stage, and decides that he is going to confront old boy about his doping, and they have their little confrontation, and it leads to the other guy literally like clawing up Legosi's back, because he's angry, he's pissed off, so he's clawing up Legosi's back. Lewis pops up on stage and kind of saves the situation. So he chews them out later because, like, why would you do that, like, on stage? Like, yada, yada, yada. So Lewis is basically doing damage control for those two because they hecked up. After that point, it's mostly, like, basic romance stuff. So, like, your triangles, your quadrangles. There is a scene that is pretty important. So the show is starting basically kind of at the start of summer, and the town that they all live in has this summer festival. And the mayor asks the students from the school, like, oh, like, you know, just wanted to make sure you guys were all going to come and help set up for the festival again this year. And the kids are like, yeah, like, whatever, mayor. And so the kids basically, they leave campus. The drama club sent only carnivores because there had been a lot of herbivore attacks on herbivores. So they're like, all right, let's just send the carnivores. And before the guys leave, they're like, stay away from the black market. The black market is where meat of herbivores is illegally sold in order to be bought and consumed by carnivores. There's somebody outside of there who's like, oh, kids, I'll if you pay me XYZ, you can eat my finger. Like, it's really kind of weird. And some of the guys are like, yo, like, let's do it. Like, yo, let's eat this dude's finger. Like, this is going to be dope. And Legosi's like, this is really wrong, and I'm not going to participate. So he leaves. But while he's leaving, he's smelling all the smells, and he kind of, like, goes wild, and he passes out. And he gets found by this character who is a doctor. He's a doctor. And he's a panda. So he could be a carnivore. He's an omnivore. And basically he explains to Legosi, like, you know, most of the people who have a moment like that, where they like lose control, it's because they've attacked someone in the past, and Legacy's like, oh crap. You know, because obviously he's guilty of that. He did attack somebody. Ooh, this green is really nice. This doctor, he is essentially a psychiatrist kind of thing, like a shrink. And he basically helps these people work through whatever their issue is with attacking herbivores. And Legacy's like, well, I don't need your help because I care about her, so I would never attack her. After that one time, he's like, I attacked her before I knew her. So I would never attack her again because that's just wrong. And the doctor's like, all right, kid, whatever. So Legacy goes back and he's waiting for the guys at the station. And one of them was there. He's like, yeah, I thought about what you said. I decided not to either. So that's like a little moment. And it's important to the show because it's showing like this to them, like this is adulthood, this is reality. Like the fact that, you know, all the things that we're being raised to do in school and to value in school is honestly not important. So in that way, it's very important to the show. Like I said, there have been attacks on herbivores. There's been blackouts at the site where they're supposed to be preparing for the festival. And these blackouts were supposed to serve as not like a disguise, but to mask some attempted kidnapping. Unfortunately, one of these kidnapping attempts is successful, and the person kidnapped is none other than our rabbit Haru. And I haven't talked about her much, but to be honest, the show is mostly, like, her main involvement in the show is just her and Legacy having conversation and trying to be friends despite how different they are due to their species. Not just their species, but the fact that he is a carnivore and she's a herbivore. Haru gets kidnapped, and actually I think she ended up getting kidnapped in broad daylight. Somebody snuck up on her, and somebody found her shoe, another student who was actually seeing her. So he goes to the mayor, and there was also like a calling card kind of thing near her shoe, and it kind of symbolized that there's who she was taken by. And the people she was taken by was a crime syndicate of lions. And basically, the mayor says that he's going to get her back. But in reality, he's not going to go after her because he's like, she's probably dead already. Legacy overhears the guy who found her shoe talking about it. And so he goes to the mayor and Lewis. They have like a little talk. And he and Lewis basically have a back and forth. Because Lewis finds out, the mayor says to him, the mayor's like, listen, dude, we're about to name you the Beastar, but we can't have any kinds of issues going on tonight. So Lewis is like, I can't go after her. The two of them both care for Haru. So Legacy is trying to convince Lewis to go. Lewis is like, I can't. Like, I can't. His whole purpose in life, the purpose of him being adopted, was to become the Beastar. Therefore, if he doesn't become the Beastar, there's probably like some kind of repercussion or something with his family. So Legacy decides, well, if he's all right, fine, you get to be the Beastar, but you can't be the Beastar and have the girl. So Legacy goes after Haru. He goes to the black market area and starts asking around. And people are like, nope. like I pretend I do not see him. He doesn't know why this happens, but he finally asks these two guys, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll take you there. We'll take you there. And Legacy's like, really? Like, that's awesome. They were going to kill Legacy and take his fur and sell it. But here comes Dr. Panda. He comes to the rescue, and Legacy talks to him about like his plan, and the doctor's like, yo, this is suicide, like you're going to die. And Legacy's like, well, I have to try. I gotta try to find her. Legacy goes to the area where the lion crime syndicate is, and he's kind of staking out the place, and he gets confronted by a lion there. So Legacy and the guy fight a little bit, but Legacy kind of hesitates to kill the guy. And that's when Dr. Panda steps in because he's like, I can just let you die. Like, whatever. Go youth. Shout out to the power of youth. So Legacy and Dr. Panda, whose name I really do not remember and I really should have looked it up. The Legacy and Dr. Panda, they are fighting their way through, and Legacy gets upstairs and he finally confronts the boss. Now, while all this fighting was going on, Haru was being prepared to be eaten. Basically, they're like, oh, well, when you're embarrassed and ridiculed and humiliated, the meat tastes better. They're doing things to her without her consent to basically make her meat taste better. Legacy comes in and he starts fighting the boss, and he unleashes his bloodlust so that he can like kind of win like his crazed kind of state where he just goes purely on instinct. He says before he does this, he's like, I'm not sure that you need to see this, Haru, but he does it anyway because that's the only way he can save her. He defeats the boss, doesn't kill him, but defeats and incapacitates him long enough for him and Haru to get away. Haru takes his hand and they go. However, he didn't kill the boss. So the boss is like, he's like, you should have killed me because now I'm about to kill you. And he's out the window with his little gun. And then he gets got by none other than our boy Lewis. Lewis came and he's basically kind of watching them from the shadows, not making himself known. Legacy and Haru miss the last train, and they go to a hotel for the night, a love hotel. And they decide to try to get risky, but their instincts of eating and being eaten are like kind of take over them in a way. And so they're like, this is going to be basically a lot of work. And they come back the next day. They talk about and they explain what happened because Legacy is injured. So they explain like what happened. Like, you know, he was saving me from, you know, the Lion Crime Ring, which I'm not sure if they were disbanded, but because I don't know if they're all like dead or injured, what have you. And basically that's where the season kind of ends off. He saves her, they go back to school, and nobody's seen Lewis. He's kind of missing. He's a little gone. I mean, it may seem like I'm giving a lot of details, but if you watch the show, it's really not. I'm not giving you that much, I promise. All I can assume is that Lewis has disappeared to, I guess, get vengeance. He was kept in a cage for most of his life, or for the good beginning of his life for quite a few years. So obviously, like, the kid's traumatized. So if you've watched the show, or even if you've read the light novels, especially Answer Me, what was up with that scene where they like go under the habitat time, I think they called it, where they have to like go underground and be like in a place that simulates their habitat? Like, what's the purpose of that? It was honestly more than kind of random. Sorry, I got a little distracted. I was saying, if you like anime and you want more anime content on like your YouTube, if you want to get into anime, you want suggestions for anime to watch, other than stuff that I'm going to be talking about on here, I would say to subscribe to Get in the Robot. They have a series on their channel, like basically called Anime You Can't Watch in Public. And this was one of those shows that you cannot watch in public. Other than that one scene that kind of like everyone started talking about, I don't really see it unless you are worried about being seen as a furry. If you're worried about being seen as a furry, then I would say don't watch it, boo. Don't do it to yourself. I honestly had some concerns myself. They led me to believe that this was a murder mystery. We didn't really get much of that this season. There was somebody else who was talking about this on YouTube, and I can't remember who, but I commented on their video, and someone said that they're guessing that season 2 is going to get more into it. They got to figure out who killed Tem. Like, I'm like sitting here, like, through all these episodes, you're telling me there was a murder and they're not looking more into that, and we're not seeing none of that. Like, come on. I don't know. I guess I was expecting us to see more of the murder mystery aspect, and we really didn't this season. I think that most of like the reason why I kept watching was mostly because of the murder mystery. Like, and since we didn't see it, I was just watching, waiting for a murder mystery that never happened, that never came. So I guess I'm a little disappointed in that front. So Lewis, is he like a vigilante now, or like what, honey? Because I'm confusion. You know, I just thought it's kind of funny because I'm wearing like a snake print shirt and I'm doing a fox eye and we're talking about Beastars. Like, this is honestly kind of ridiculous. Like, wow. I guess I'm kind of like done talking about Beastars. Like, I don't have anything else to talk about relating to the shows. If you watched Beastars, let me know what you thought about it. If you considered watching it, or if you considering watching it now that I've talked about it and made it seem less scary because that one scene that everybody knows now. Let me know, like, if you end up watching it, or if you want to watch it now, or if you have watched it. Yo, I have a couple shows already that I'm going to talk about. But let me know if there's any other ones that you want to hear me talk about, because that'd be like cool. I'm back with my lashes, and yeah, I'm ready to wrap it up. So yeah, we talked about Beastars. I told you about it so that you kind of know what you're getting into if you decide to watch it. And like I said, I only talked about like the major parts. There's like little stuff that, you know, is kind of like whatever, but the little stuff is like the bread and butter of like a romance story. And I'm not here to tell you about the whole show. I'll leave a little something to imagination. It was a pretty decent show. And next time we will be talking about probably The Promised Neverland, because I feel really strongly about that show. Forgive me if I seem like awkward or stiff while I was doing this video. It's a new kind of thing for me to try and do. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I will see you next week where we will talk about The Promised Neverland.